Hey there, everyone. I'd like to take a second to hop on to ManageBack and show you what the parent portal looks like for ManageBack and how you can best support your students' success by using this app. So on the home page here, you see a lot of really easily accessible buttons to help you go to the most important places. I'm going to start from the top and work my way down. So the very top here, you have the calendar. And although it says nothing planned, that's just for today. If I click on the calendar, all of these little colored buttons here, or dots, will link me to work that my student has been assigned. So in the past, I can see that in January, there was something on the 30th, and it'll take me to just a small colored box of what that task was. Now, if I want to see more information about that task, I can click here and then I can see where the teacher wrote out some more detailed information. So now I can see the instructions from the teacher as well as any comments that the teacher left, which is really nice. So if there's a task from the past, I can see details about that task, and I can also see the comment from the teacher if they left a comment. You can see that if a student dropped something, there would be something here in the Dropbox. But for this, it was an in-class discussion with the teacher comment. Now to go right back to the calendar, if I look now at the future, I see that there is an upcoming task, and that's on February 15th. And again, if I click here, I can get further information. So the teacher's instructions and all of that. No assessment yet because it is in the future. So the calendar is a really nice way to see tasks from the recent history and in the upcoming recent upcoming weeks so that you can easily access the tasks themselves and instructions. From these task details, I can also go to the unit itself. Well, I take that back. You can't go to the unit from here, but I will show you how to get to the unit later because that also has some really important information. Okay, so backing out of the calendar now, for attendance and timetables, when you click that, you can see the schedule of the student for that day, and you can also go into the future and see when they have specific classes. And that's pretty useful if you're wondering what they have that day or where they are at that moment. You can see that exact teacher. The attendance excusal button is really useful, and many of our parents use this regularly, so I think that this is a feature that's pretty well understood by parents. Usually I get questions about tasks and assessments and grades, comments, that sort of thing. So another way to see your tasks that a student has been assigned is to click the tasks and deadlines. The only thing is this will only show you upcoming tasks, and they haven't been assessed yet usually because they're in the future. So from the tasks and deadlines button, I can see that upcoming task and I can see the information about that task, but I'm not going to see what the teacher has scored because it hasn't happened yet. When we go down here, a really nice way to see specifically like what's going on in a class is to go down to classes. And that's where you can go into the class itself by clicking the class. And you're going to see a lot of information about units, about upcoming tasks, and about completed tasks, as well as absences for that specific class. So here you can see the most recently graded assessment was on January 30th, and this is the comment here from the teacher. If I click show more, then I can see the entire comment. And also if I go down, I can see now details about the units. So we are currently with the current unit here in orange in the personal choice and freedom unit. I can click this and see all of the major like topics of the unit, as well as inquiry questions, ATL skills, and more. So if you're wondering like, what is my kid learning right now? Using that feature is a nice way to see what they're working on at the moment. If you also keep scrolling, now we can see the assessment scores for anything that's been graded in this semester. Now I want to note there's not a lot here because if I scroll back up, it says second semester. So I can click first semester or second semester and see what they have in that specific semester. And that's when I can see more information from the class. So it is a point that I want to mention because if you're not looking at the right semester, you're going to see different things, and the assessment is going to look different. So that's a pretty important point. And I think a lot of parents miss that because it's not intuitive. And if you don't know to change the semester, then you're not going to see the right things there. There's a couple different looks here. So playing around with the different ways of looking at units or weekly planner is something that I would encourage everyone to do. Because if you're looking at the units, then it's maybe a little harder to see those upcoming tasks and completed tasks versus if you're looking at the weekly planner. So again here, oh, let me show you what that was. If you go all the way down, you're seeing what has been done, and then just slightly above that is what's coming up. If you look at a completed task that has those scores, for example, the January 12th summative creative writing task, if I click on the scores here, I can see what each number means. And that's really helpful because there is sometimes a misconception that a 4, because it's not in the higher grade bands, is not a solid score. But if we look at the language of a 4, we can see that a student is doing a generally good job. So they're using an adequate range of appropriate vocabulary. They're using with some degree of accuracy. There may be errors, but there's a degree of accuracy. So a 4 is not the end of the world. If you see something lower than a 4, then you do want to ask some questions like, hey, what could you do differently if you were to have this task again? Or what would you change if you were given 20 more minutes on this task, etc. And then a 5 and a 6 is in that next grade band up. And so now we're seeing that we do have considerable personal engagement. We do have thoughtful stylistic choices. So these are strong scores where a student is really demonstrating that they're able to do the work that a teacher wants to see in that class and is actually doing a really strong job in producing the work of that class. So like I said, a 4 is a solid score, but when we get higher than a 4, you're seeing some really quality work. And when we get lower than a 4, we're starting to ask some questions of, does a student need extra support, or do they not understand something, or did they not give their full effort on a task? So like I said, if you want to see the details of the language of each number, you can click on those numbers down there. The blue number is the score the student received, and the green number is the score they could receive total. So again, it may be confusing the way this looks, but that's what that means. Would I have designed it that way? Probably not. So that's a look at the inside the class overview for the classes that your students have. That's my favorite part of the ManageBac because as curriculum coordinator, like that is obviously the thing I get most excited about. Okay, I'm going to come back to the home page here and just look at a couple other things that I'd like for you all to be able to access easily and see. Reports is really nice because that's where you're going to see all the report cards that your student has had since they've been in the ManageBac system with HGIS. And so really easily accessibly, I can see, boom, semester 2 report card from last year, and I can go in there and see the exact report that was given. If you ever need evidence of what your students are doing at our school, the report card for middle school is really what we use as that documentation of their work in our school. In addition to that, we have the portfolio where you will see anything that your student uploaded to ManageBac. Because this is a test account, there's not a whole lot here, but your students are uploading things all the time, and you'll see many things there in the portfolio if they have submitted it directly through ManageBac. Behavior note is another important piece. As you can see here, this student, apologies for the pretend note there. The student had a behavior note on March 17th of last year. So as a student progresses through the program, the behavior notes don't disappear. They're all here for you. And we want to focus on this as a reflective piece. So if we notice that there's one behavior note, obviously our student here has not had any since then. And behavior notes are not always negative. Let me go back here. This says that it's like red here, so it's not a good thing, but you can have commendations as well, which is when we want to really brag on a kid for doing something nice, something great, and really out of their way good. Just one more thing, and then that's all I'll really show you today because I don't want to take too much of your time. The student profile will give you all of the information of the student. So again, this is a test student, but you can see the student's contact details and personal information. Please check this, and if you notice that there's something incomplete or incorrect, please let us know as soon as you can, because this is really where we want to make sure we have the most complete records of the important information we need for every student. And if it's not correct, we need to fix that as soon as possible. So just checking that and making sure that it is correct and updated is really helpful for us. Everything else is basically stuff you can play with. So the guides and handbooks are useful if you want to dig into some things further, but they're not something that you necessarily have to look at. All right, so that's a look at ManageBac. If you have any further questions or if you need anything that I didn't cover in this, then just send me an email and let me know. I'm happy to help at any time.